Hey guys, tonight we are going to do surgery on a brand new Carbon 2X. As you know, we love carbon paddles and they're great right out of the box. My hand is a little bit big, so I usually put like 3 overgrips on them. So recently I tried one of these Hesacore grips. It's like the hexagonal overgrip. And then I put 1 wrap around it and it felt really good. I gave it to Jett and I just had him feel it. I was like, what do you think? He's like, oh, that's amazing. So I got him 2 of these, and then he's playing in the Masters coming up here in a couple weeks. So the tradition at the Masters is to wear all white. So what I want to do is I want to trick it out with the white overgrip, Hesacore white overgrip, and then I'm going to wrap it with white ADV, and then I'm going to do the edge guard in a white edge guard from AMA Sport. So I'm gonna film all this for posterity and then put a little time lapse of it on the old internet for everybody to see how it's done. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is get the plastic off. I have my handy dandy little toolkit that I use to work on paddles. This is a pedicure manicure kit from Revlon I got at Walmart for like 10 bucks. But anyway, it's got really good pair of fine scissors on it, tweezers, nail clippers. I mostly just use the scissors for like finer work. Okay, next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna take this band off. These bands are really handy. I love paddles that include them because if you've ever replaced an overgrip, they kind of botch the tape job so it doesn't look too professional. This is like a super easy way to cover it up, so I always save those. And then the next thing you wanna do is you're gonna take off the stock overgrip. These are actually really good overgrips. The problem is that the Hesacore one will not fit over the top of it. It's too bulky. So for this, I have a little box cutter. I'll usually just nick it because I'm not really trying to save these. Just to get it started. There we go. I suppose if you wanted to, you could do a really careful job of taking off the overgrip. So if you ever wanted to put it back on, it's reusable. And just put a little electrical tape on the top. So when I did mine originally, I tried to get the butt cap off and I had a lot of problems with it. And I ended up not being able to get it off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go wet this down just to make it a little slicker. Because right now it's really sticky because of the overgrip. And that'll make it easier to slide on the Hesacore. So the other trick I use is once I've wetted it and kind of gotten some of the residual glue off there is I'll spray it with a little olive oil just to give it a little lubrication. Because otherwise, sliding on this thing can be really tricky. Double check and make sure I have a small, yep. Okay, so these are pretty easy if you follow the instructions. As I'm gonna probably eat my words here. But basically there's 3 tabs here. Ooh, this one has 4. Mine only had 3. That'll make it easier. But anyway, you put these around on one on each side of the paddle, and you use that to get it over the lip, and then it just slides right on, and then you pull the tabs out. Yeah, much easier with 2 tabs. I don't know why they include 4. You literally just got to get it started, and then you can kind of put your finger in there and help work it over the rest. Again, make sure you got your tabs sticking out. You don't want to slide this over the tabs. I suppose you could pull them out the bottom. Still be a pain in the tutor. Yeah, this is working great. Yeah, 2 tabs is the ticket, man. You don't need 4. The less tabs I had, the easier it was to get on. Because each one of those tabs is like extra width, you know? And then they just pop right out. But I don't know if you can see on camera, what I've got is I've got a pillow between my legs, and I'm using it to grip the paddle. If you had a like a bench vise or clamp or something like that, that would be a good way to do it too. All right, so what you want to do here, you don't want a ton. You want just enough to keep it on there so it doesn't slide all the way down. Okay. Just get this. I like to have mine like pretty much flush. But you got to kind of hold it in position while the glue dries. Yeah, there we go. Just takes a second. It might help actually to run these under warm water before you do it too, just to make the grip more pliable. Is that gonna stay? It's still moving around a little bit. I think we're good. I think I'm being overly perfectionist here, just from the bad experience I had with mine. I just don't want it to slide down, that's all. Money. Overgrip. This is easy. I've done 100 of these. If you've never put on an overgrip, I actually don't follow the instructions. The way you're supposed to do it is a lot of these will have a tapered end, and they say start with the tapered end down here. I do it the opposite. I start with the fat end at the bottom because I like a thicker grip at the bottom of my paddle, and then I like a smaller piece of tape at the top because it's easier to cover up and like merge into your finishing tape. But you see this one? This one has this little piece, and it's stuck for some reason. Never had this happen before. There we go. Has this little, see how it's smaller at this end? They say to put this at the bottom, but then you end up with the big fat thing at the top that it doesn't cover up well. So you also want to wrap it. So you want to basically, if you want, you're gonna cover this up with the carbon band anyway. But what I like to do is I like to lay it this way, and then I know which way I need to wrap it. So for me, I want the finishing tape to end up this way. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap it that way. Yeah, don't forget to take the plastic backing off. You're gonna have a really bad time. It's gonna be a very odd feel. You're like, this grip tape is not very grippy. All right, so I want it to come around this way. So I got it right here. I'm gonna go like this. You don't have to make it perfect. If you make too steep of a turn and you end up with a bunch of extra stuff at the end, you can always back it off and tighten it up. Or if you get some like really weird wrinkles in it or whatever. Luckily, see, I've wrapped one too wide and one too narrow, so I'm gonna back it off. And then I'm gonna get back on track here. You want it to be fairly uniform. The good news is the 2X is a fairly short handle compared to a 1X. So you don't have to really make the material like stretch too far, whereas with a 1X, especially if you're using these ADV overgrips, you got to do it just right, or you end up not being able to cover the whole length. So let's see here. There we go. Jett likes a longer overgrip on his because he does have a two-handed backhand, even though his hands are, he's not full grown yet. But he still has fairly big hands. So by the time he gets both hands on the paddle, he's used up most of it. So, and then if you look, there's just a little piece of tab. This is where you're supposed to start it, but I use it to finish it. It's got a little piece of plastic on it, and then you just tack it on there. So like I said, we're doing all white because it's the Masters. Now this I've only done once, and it came out really good. So I'm hoping I can duplicate the effort. But the idea is this thing actually fits like perfect for this paddle. I don't know how, but like there's just enough to where it doesn't like hang up or anything. So I'm just gonna get it as close as I can. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. This, you probably should wipe this down. I've already wiped it down with some rubbing alcohol, but you wanna make sure you have a clean surface. And what I did is I just started at the bottom, like right here, and I just took a little bit off at a time. And you can work this on and off a couple different times. Like if you don't get it perfectly straight, you can, it's not like, it's not gonna be stuck. You know what I mean? And this one's a little weird because you wanna make sure you got the same gap on both sides. So what I do is I kind of test it, and then I'll work it back and kind of move it over as I need to. That's a little closer, okay? And you just kind of feel like this one needs to come this way, kind of feel like, get it close. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just got to be good enough. And then feel the edge, that feels pretty good. And I'll get like the big centerpieces done. Feels pretty good. And then I'll go back and I'll tack down the flaps. The corners is where you got to pay the most attention. That's where I got off on mine. But now that I'm feeling this is going way better than mine did. I just kind of eyeballed it, and then mine actually has some really weird gaps in it. Okay, so apparently there's 2 flaps here. I think some people cut them in half. Okay, let's see. I can't feel my flap here. That feels pretty good. Okay. Pay attention on the corner. Feels pretty good. Okay, tack that down. Okay. Down those back straightaway. Feels pretty good. Coming down the home stretch. This corner is a tricky one too. See how I'm off a little bit here, so I'm just gonna back it up. Get it to where I feel like it's better. That feels pretty good. And then just double check, right at home. So I'm off maybe a 1/4 of an inch, actually really close. And you could probably, you know, stretch this a little bit if you wanted to, but this is going to be covered up again by the band, so it doesn't have to be exact. So this side needs to come up a little bit over here, like that. Yeah. Okay, now I'm just going to go and tack the tabs down. This is a little, I screwed that up. There we go. I like that better. Yeah, these corners came out pretty good. And then if you get any wrinkles here, you can just peel off the part that's wrinkled and then peel it back down. Comes out really easily. I'm actually gonna, originally I ordered all this stuff like 3 weeks before Christmas, and my plan was to surprise Jett with it on Christmas Day. But the Hesacores didn't come till the day before Christmas, and so I just didn't have time. Let's re-straighten this out a little bit. There we go, much better. Perfect. Almost like I know what I'm doing. All right. So now I'm going to finish up the... Oh, also, if you ever screw up and Overgrip, you can always just use electrical tape as the finishing tape, especially if you have one of these bands. Like most of the high-end paddles will give you a finishing band. Like I've seen them on Yolas and I've seen them on some of the other brands. But if you don't, you can actually buy those from pretty much every pickleball store that I've seen with like different goofy things on them. You can be like Big Dill or, you know, Mr. Pickle or whatever the stupid phrase is. Just to have something to cover up your messy. I redid this one just to cover up my boo-boo so you can't tell that the ends of the edge guard are different. Not that anybody's ever going to notice. All right. Okay. Take two. So these have 2 tabs on them. You take off the one on the top to stick to your finishing tab. I just cut my fingernails, which is unfortunate timing. There we go. So that's to get it started on this little tab. And then you can just peel it with this one. Again, unfortunate timing on the mine was even easier because I got to put I put 2 overgrips on mine, I believe, because I like a thicker paddle and they didn't have any larges, they only had mediums. So if you screw up the first overgrip, no problem, bro. You just slap on another one and touch up all your mistakes. Oh. Just going back and making sure all the edges are tacked down because sometimes they'll flip up, and if you don't get them down before the glue dries, you're out of luck. You can always go back in with a little super glue, but you really don't want to be super gluing stuff to your edge guard if you don't have to. All right, there you have it. That is a Carbon 2X with a Hesacore small overgrip, and then an ADV finishing overgrip. And then we've got this AMA Sport edge guard tape, which you can get on Amazon. I think this is gonna look sick with the all white at the Masters, and hopefully Jett can keep it clean for 2 weeks before that happens. But anyway, that's all we got for tonight. Catch you next time.